Welcome to Days End Farm. This is the front driveway and the front pasture. One of our horses is off to the side grazing in one of the big pastures. And the house is beyond the weeping willows. This is the front yard facing south. This is Ambar, our Irish sport horse, and the carriage house is also in view now. This is the wisteria growing on one of the fence lines. This is the path leading up to the house. We have a Little and Lewis fountain, and there's koi and goldfish in the pond. This is the south side of the house. Also on the path leading up to the house, we have a couple of apple trees and Asian pear trees. And this is the west end of the house. And here's the other side of the wisteria fence. And there's the carriage house again. And as we walk along the path, we have lots of blooming bushes, more apple trees, and various other types of trees. There's the fountain again. The west side of the house, and there's a path leading back to the north side of the house. In this area we have planters full of culinary herbs. And the south side of the house has a pergola grape arbor in front. This is the south side, south entrance. And this is the promenade leading up to the south entrance. These are flowering plums. So in the spring, they're all full of light pink blossoms. And then they turn this dark burgundy color for the rest of the year. And now we're walking west. This is the side of the house. This area here, off to the side of the house, has the heat pump and various other water heater. And this is the path on the west side of the house. And all along the house we have hops that are growing up the side. And this is mid-May, so in the summer this is just full and very thick. And a friend of ours comes and gets the hops and makes beer. And straight ahead is our Appaloosa. And the neighbor's red barn in the distance. Some of the neighbor's horses. Neighboring farm in the distance. And very old poplar trees. We have beautiful golden chain trees on the north end. And this is the driveway as it curves and leads to the north side of the house. Again, we have very old poplars in the background. They're probably 80, 90 years old from the original farm. We have a lot of clematis vines on this porch, the north porch. And here's the north door. A really long porch that we used for barbecues and various things. And this is the end of our driveway here. And here's the two-car garage that we have on the east end. There's also a heated workshop off to the side. And you can see the golden chain trees. See the barn up there in the distance. 3-horse barn, a 3-stall barn, and a tack room, and also a hay storage on the side. And That's another view of the carriage house and our truck. We have parking for our 3-house slant load trailer off to the side there. It also could be parking for an RV. There's all the electrical hookups. This is leading to the north end of the farm. We have another farm on the other side. And here's a picture of the barn. Here's our Appaloosa Tino grazing next to our neighbor's horse in his pasture. Just have a hot wire out here for Tino, little temporary pasture. So you can see the 2-car garage down at the end towards the left-hand side, and then the driveway that goes past the house. An old apple tree in the distance, some cherry trees. And then this is the original part of the driveway where we walked in before it turns to go to the house and the 2-car garage. We have very old vine maple trees here. They're just very, very tall, very old. And here's Embar eating in the west pasture. She's our Irish sport horse. We have 2 wells at the farm too. There's one well that's out here by the barn. The hose is on top. In the distance you can see our neighbor's barn. Embar is saying hello, going into her stall. And this is the west side. Some young apple trees planted here. In the big pasture, we have some very old apple trees. Here's one, and the other one's in the distance. We had a local tree expert come out, and he determined that they were from the 1860s or 1870s, part of perhaps an original farmstead that was here. And he said that they're the oldest in Kitsap County. He took some tests from the wood, and they still produce apples. We believe it's Gravenstein's, but there's 2 of them right in the horse pasture. This is part of the carriage house to my left. More of the pasture, drinking trough. Old rose bushes. More of the pasture. People riding bikes in the distance on Day Road. A flowering plum, weeping plum here in the middle of this little area. There's the house in the distance behind the trees. And then here's the carriage house again. And here's a grape arbor. And this is the south side of the carriage house. And there's Embar grazing in the distance. Here's another shot of that old apple tree. And the other apple tree off in the distance. You can see by the spread of its branches and the size of its trunk that it's very, very old. This is the area where we first walked in from the main driveway. View of the carriage house again and the garage. This is a view off the back side of our place. It's facing north, and that's our neighbor's barn and house and their pastures. And this is the two-car garage that's here. We have an old cherry tree here. Old wood pile. Again, this is the two-car garage. And we're looking west now. There's the golden chain trees. And then along this side we have rhododendrons, various other plants, another weeping cherry. And there's the roof of the house and the trees around it. We have a couple of steps leading up to this area, and this is the east side of the house. And this is the front yard. We have a couple of birch trees here, a little birch grove. A couple of young apple trees. It's about 24 apple trees altogether. And in the middle you can see that promenade with the flowering plums leading up to the house. Catalpa tree there with the lighter leaves, the young one. We have a row of wisteria here on the east side with lots of yellow blossoms real early in the spring. We have a big holly tree here. Has lots of red berries on it in the winter. And this is the front of the area facing south. So this is the area right on Day Road. This is facing west. Now here's the center of the front yard with the plum trees and the house. This is an older apple tree